All right, hey, it's Friday, November 28th. First off, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope everyone had a chance to, spend time with their families and, be thankful for everything we have. So it's been a couple weeks, but I want to bring you a fishing report, kind of bring you up to date and up to speed, maybe what's been going on. Not a whole lot's changed. The water temp just remains around 56 to 60, believe it or not. Normally we're probably 8 degrees cooler than this, and it gets the fish going, feeding up more for winter. Um, so that's kind of we're in a little kind of a stall pattern, I guess you'd call it. We've been fishing quite a bit the last few weeks. Had the old Kinderhook event, which is always a great event. And if you had a chance to watch any of those weigh-ins, you can kind of see, some of us caught them one day real well, and then the second day of fishing, we didn't catch them, and then the other guys caught them. So it just kind of shows you, any given area of the lake can produce right now. It doesn't matter what arm or where you're at on the lake. When I've been out quite a bit, pre-fishing or getting ready for trips, we kind of test different areas of the lake to see if different areas is turned on better than the others. And man, honestly, I can't say one area of the lake is fishing better or worse than any of the other parts of the lake right now. And so obviously it's fall still. It's just typical. Instead of saying late fall, it's kind of early fall fishing still. But I think this morning it was 26 degrees. So all we need is a few of those really cold nights and some of these days that are only going to get up to 50. And it won't take long to get that water down to where it needs to be to really start positioning these fish and bunching them up a little more instead of being just spread out so much right now. The lake level is 659.1, so it's about a foot below summer pool. So it's pretty high. It's higher than maybe where it would normally be, but that really doesn't really come into effect a whole lot in the fall. The water level, it is what it is. It really doesn't matter. The main thing is you're looking for shad. You're trying to find shad, and you're trying to find the right shad that it seems like the bass are feeding on, whether it be the 1.25 inch, 2-inch, 3-inch, or even some of them 6-inch shad. As far as baits, man, the last couple of weeks I've just been, there's probably 8 rods here in front of me, 9 rods, and my front deck has had 9 or 10 rods on it. So that kind of tells you how much we really have them dialed in. We're spending time obviously on Main Lake. We check that topwater bite every day, run topwater for an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, just to see if it's producing. Because when it starts producing, those are the big fish. Those are what we'd say tournament quality fish. 3 to 5 pound fish. But here lately, man, we've been finding a lot of fish in the very back still. In the Kinderhook event. We had almost 17 pounds on the one day, and all them fish were caught in probably 3 foot of water or less. So there's still a lot of fish back there, and they're back there because the shad are back there. You get back in the backs, in some creeks, not all the creeks, there's a lot of fish, a lot of shad back there, and of course the bass are back in there. Had a few trips the last few days. And we're really switching it up just to catch fish, and we're catching everything. Obviously, a friend of mine, Nate from up in St. Louis, he come down and fish with me again. Him and his dad, and he's one of these kids that's kid's got some talent, fishing talent. And I see him, I think he's 13, and I really enjoy seeing kids like that are real focused on fishing. And are just really dialed in on fishing. Had Nate and his dad out, like I said the other day, and we just kind of switched it up. We went around, we just did everything we could to catch fish. We caught some fish on the old fluke, The little pearl fluke, it's still producing. It's kind of a hit and miss. You'll catch some here and there. Let's see. Earlier last week, I had a father and son out, a different set of father and son, and the guy caught one of those Kentuckies that was. I should have probably weighed it, but it was pushing 4 pound Kentucky. One of them beautiful, big fish, healthy fish, and it came on the fluke. But back to another trip when was fishing with Nate and his dad. We went out. We fished topwater for a while. It wasn't producing, so we went to the backs. Them shad were back there, and we got into the white bass. So if you're a white bass fisherman, the white bass they're in the backs right now. Any of your major creeks, just go to the very backs and about 6 foot of water, and just start fan casting. You'll see them busting. You'll see the shad up there. Obviously, if you have the Garmin Live Scope, you can just pan around and you'll see the fish. You'll see the shad and you'll see the whites down there chasing them. And we just started catching whites. Had a lot of fun doing that. We were throwing like chrome rattle traps. We were throwing some topwater. Let's see, what else we were throwing? We were throwing stick bait. We were throwing that the old Lucky Craft Pointer 78. We were throwing that stick bait right out in the center of them and just jerking around, and he was catching fish probably every other cast. So if you like white bass fishing, just like catching a lot of fish, the whites are going pretty good right now. So just like I said, go to any big creek, go to the very backs of them, and just start fan casting. You're gonna catch the whites. But there's a lot of largemouth mixed in there with them. You'll catch a 3 pound largemouth out there, right out in the middle of the flat. In the fall, a lot of times they won't relate to anything particular. They're just out there chasing shad. They're earning shad. You pan around, with the live scope, and you can see the shad balls. They look totally different. And then you'll see the larger fish. They're whites, they're catfish, they're bass, they're everything. They're out there. They're underneath them, and you'll see them bust through them fish. And if you're lucky enough and you see them busting them on surface, I don't think it matters what you throw over there. They're going to grab it. You can throw a jig in there, and they're going to grab it as it's coming through. So, as far as topwaters, like if you want to test that topwater, we're the same baits that always produce. Of course, we're throwing a Crappie X-Bite, buzz bait on either pearl. This is called, I think it's called Ghost. It's kind of a gray, white flake, black flake. It looks really good in the fall. Imitates shad. I've been throwing the 1/2 ounce one. It has just a slight smaller blade on it. Makes a little different noise. Obviously, throwing that 3/0 treble hook on there. A lot of strikes are short strikes. They're swiping at it, and without that treble hook or trailer hook, you'll miss a few fish. So make sure you have that trailer hook on there. And that we're starting on Main Lake. We'll go around Main Lake points, big rocks. Just focus on the bigger rocks where you see a lot of moss. But then we're going to secondary points. We're going 3/4 way back on steeper banks, trying them. You just really got to cover a lot of water with the bait, and the head knocker is a really good bait to just cover a lot of water. I throw it on braid, 50-pound braid, throw it over them cables, throw it under the catwalks, throw it everywhere you can. Try to parallel the bank. Seems to be more productive. Obviously, that's going to keep your bait in the strike zone a lot longer than just making straight cast to the bank. You've got that first 6-8 foot off of the bank is the strike zone, compared to if you're parallel on the bank, maybe you say 2 foot, 4 foot, 6 foot off of the bank. You're going to keep it in that strike zone a lot longer, and your cast is going to be a lot more productive. Obviously, if you got 2 guys or 2 fishermen in the water or in the boat, it's a little difficult to get right up and parallel, but you can do it. Teams, you both get on the front deck and you make alternate casts. So one guy casts, he gets halfway back, the next guy's casting. You're covering a lot more water. On something like that, I would suggest maybe one of you is throwing like a whopper plopper or the Chapo, and the other one throwing a buzzbait, the head knocker. and keep it, until you see what they're biting on. And maybe switch it up. One guy throw a spinnerbait, a big spinnerbait will start producing. It produces when it's real windy, and a spinnerbait's probably a better bait if it's real windy and you got a lot of waves coming in on the bank and it's kind of not the best conditions for topwater. Throw you a big spinnerbait, or also throw a crankbait. We're catching some on crankbait. It's the same deal. You just kind of got to go out and see what they want, what day, crankbait, like a rock crawler. I usually throw the deeper one. It tends to get down there a little more, and then once it starts hitting them rocks and bouncing around, you can slow it down, and that seems to get a lot of bites. This one is Cold Blue, I think it's called. Ice Blue. Stone Cold. Stone Cold is what it is, and it's kind of a lavender blue, kind of a green back. That one's producing real well. Try that one. I throw it on a 12-pound test. I'm throwing this one. I bought this new Virtus crankbait rod. I really like these rods. I'm really getting on them rods. As far as reels, if you can get a slower retrieve, that's going to work better for your crankbait. This is 5 to 1. This is a Bass Pro qualifier. They're, what are they, $99 or something. Great reels. You don't have to spend a fortune on all your tackle to get good quality stuff. But either way, that crankbait, or I'm throwing the brown with the orange belly, rock crawler, wiggle wart, whatever. Just kind of switch it up. Those two crankbaits, they have different wobbles, they have different rattles, they have different sounds. They're believe it or not, some days, these fish get really temperamental, and one bait will produce better over the other. So switch it up. If you got two people fishing, one throw a wiggle wart, one throw a rock crawler, throw an orange, brown one, throw the Stone Cold, whatever. Just switch it up until you see what they're seem to really be reacting to. Same deal on the crankbaits. Just kind of relate to main lake points, secondary points, open banks, bigger rocks seems to be the ideal situation. Maybe if you're 20, 30 foot off of the bank and you're in 10 foot of water, 12 foot, that's going to be your best style bank. Just because the lay, your bait's going to get down to the bottom. It's going to bounce off the bottom a lot more, which is going to produce or create bites more than if you're just swimming that crankbait just out in open water, not bouncing or reflecting off anything. A lot of times these fish the shadow get down on the bottom. You'll see them laying on the bottom, and if you run them crankbaits and bouncing them off them rocks and separating or scattering them shad, that'll just create a reaction bite. And that's kind of what you're trying to do with this crankbait, is get a reaction bite. Same thing with a spinnerbait. You can slow roll it right off the bottom, let it sink to the bottom, and speed it back up, and kind of get into them shad and separate them shad and create some sort of diversion reaction that get a fish to react. So as far as just throwing a bait out and just reeling it and not doing anything special, you're not going to get near the bites as if you let that thing hit the bottom, bounce off of stuff. Same thing with a spinnerbait. Let it hit the bottom, drag it on the bottom, speed it up, slow it down. A spinnerbait, another thing, normally you reel that thing maybe 6 inches to a foot below the water, but speed that thing up and wake it for a while. Wake it, for 6-8 foot, and then slow it back down. Something that just, gets these fish to react. If you really watch the shad in the water, that's how they swim. Sometimes they're slow, they'll speed up, they'll scatter out. So you're just trying to imitate what the food's doing that they're feeding on. I'm still throwing this gunfish. People call them pencil poppers. I call it gunfish. This is that one with the tungsten weight in the back. It really sets back in heavy, but when you start working it, it makes a lot of commotion, a lot of splash, a lot of rattle, and like I said, it kind of keeps it in the strike zone a lot longer. So some days they don't want to chase stuff, they're not real active, so you throw that bait right up on the bank and start working it off the bank, you can work it for, several seconds and not move the thing 4 foot, and if there's a bass anywhere around, he's going to come and get it. It's just a reaction and an easy meal for him. Like I said, the Chapo, we're throwing Chapo a lot, either black or pearl. They have a shad color one. It makes a little better noise, a little louder noise. You'll notice the Chapo do. The Chapo, though, they're plastic. If you hit them on the rocks, they will break the tail. So just be aware of that compared to like the Whopper Plopper's a little more durable. But you'll notice the Whopper Ploppers, the earlier ones made a lot better noise. The newer ones seem to be tamed down a little bit on the noise here. I was going to show you something here real quick that I've been doing with my with the whoppers if I don't fall. You'll notice the noise on the Whopper Poppers will kind of, like I said, tame down. You don't get that plopping noise that really seemed to get you strike. So I kind of played with and experimented with them just a little bit. This one here was an older one, and I took a lighter and lit right below that tail and then re-bent it and held it there, and it held it under cold water right away, and it really held the shape, and it really went back to that real loud plopping noise. So if you have some of them whoppers that aren't making the noise you're wanting or prefer, just try that. Just hold a lighter right underneath the bend there and push up on it, and you'll see it'll bend. And once you get it bent pretty tight, then right away hold it under cold water, and it'll kind of cure that, and it'll give you good noise. So just something I've been playing with a little bit to get them to make that noise I want. So bottom baits are coming on pretty good. As that water cools down, your jigs, swamp bugs are going to start coming into play. We actually caught quite a few fish on jigs this week. Again, Nate, you can usually tell if someone's going to be a fisherman or not, if they have the patience and the feel for jigs. And the other day on that trip, we caught some white bass, and we went to fishing the jig. The topwater wasn't working, so we went to fishing the jigs, and we were flipping jigs in and around behind docks, kind of off a little main lake, little pocket, but big rocks, and we were sitting, a good flip off of the bank, and we were in probably 15 to 18 foot of water, so it's a pretty steep bank, but we're flipping right up on the bank and just working that jig, bouncing it down real easy. And we actually caught a lot of fish, a lot more than we'd been catching, a few keepers, and several shorts, but we're just throwing Old Faithful Ozark crawl, 3/8 ounce Ozark crawl, zapper jig, and then we're throwing the Crappie ring crawl in the back, green pumpkin, red flake. Keep it real simple. As it gets colder, and these fish aren't as active, their crawfish don't have a lot of color. Just remember, keep it simple in the winter. Just try not to go through, worry too much about the colors when that water gets cold. So something natural like that Ozark crawl, 3/8 ounce zapper jig. I throw it on 12 or 15. I just feel it better. It flips better. It just works better for me on that. Fluorocarbon line. Starting to catch some on the old swamp bug, the Crackgator swamp bug. Still fairly simple, green pumpkin, red flake on that, on a 1/4 ounce shaky football, Crackgator shaky football head. It's a perfect setup on that. Same setup, a 6'10" or 7 foot rod. This is a Falcon Cara. If you can find them, buy them up. If you're looking for a new rod, that Virtus is a really good quality rod I found too. I've been getting them up at Bryant's Osage Outdoors in Lori. Have that Virtus. I know Fish Fishing are carrying the Falcons in Osage Beach, and Camden, they have them too. Mm-hmm. Yep. So you can look at the Falcons. If you don't see the Falcons you want, maybe make a trip up to Lori and check out Bryant's Osage Outdoors up there. They're carrying that new Virtus. I'm telling you, that's a quality rod for the price. But as far as working the swamp bug, same as the jig, don't overwork it. Slow, just slow hops, and just keep that thing in the strike zone as long as you can. When the shad aren't active and they're on the bottom, the bass are going to be down there with them. If the shad are out, suspended over the creek channel or out in the middle, and the bass aren't real active, they'll just go to the bank and they'll feed on crawfish. So that's when your swamp bug and your jig are going to be really productive. So it just starts. You got to try everything right now in the fall until that water gets down in the low 50s, or around 50, 48. Then it becomes a lot easier as far as your selection. You guys start throwing a stick bait, but the jig really comes into play. That's when I settle down. I've usually got 2 rods on the front deck. I've got a swamp bug and I've got a zapper jig, and that's it. And I go out there, go to work, and slow down as that water gets down, 48, 50. It's a lot easier. Wiggle wart, rock crawler is going to work a lot better when that water gets a little, lower in temp. So, it's fishing in general here the last 3 weeks has been pretty tough. You'll have a good day, and then you can go out and not hardly catch a keeper. And the next day, 2 days later, you can go out and catch 16, 18 pounds. But then, like I said, it's just the fish move. They move a lot. Their feeding habits change. So, it's just fall fishing. Another bait, I've been catching a few fish on. A lot of guys don't throw it too much anymore. It's still one of my old favorites is a Crappie 4-inch flipping tube. Called them super salty tubes. Just green pumpkin and something. I usually take like a zapper jig. I pull the weed guard out and I'll shove that through that hollow part of the tube, shove the line tie out the nose of it, and tie it up like that. And that's about as natural looking bait, crawfish bait. Just hop it along the bottom, crawl along the bottom. That's got an exposed hook. If a fish picks this up or you feel a bite, he's got that hook in his mouth, and your hookup ratio is real good with that little setup. So, maybe try that. Just switch it up, this time of year. So, crappie remains excellent. I mean, I don't know if it's been any better. I haven't seen it any better this year, or maybe in past years. On some of our trips, we'll go out and we'll try for bass. We'll go catch some white bass, and the last hour and a half or so of a trip, we'll go catch a limit of crappie. It's that good. You're pretty confident right now we can catch a good solid limit of crappie in an hour. So, and that's going through a few small ones, but I'm talking, 10.5 to 11.5 inch crappie. The other day we caught one of them giant 13.5 big crappie. So, they're mixed in there. A lot of crappie mixed in. For the crappie, we're either throwing like a little stick bait over the brush piles, or just the reliable, Easy Shiner Kitech has just been so productive of a bait for the crappie. It's super simple. We're just looking at all the crappie on the live scope. They're either piled up on main lake dock corners, the braces, brush piles, maybe in 12 to 15 foot of water right now, and you just swim these little baits right over the top of them. We're just rigging them up on this little 16 ounce head with the coil spring on there. You want that because you can twist these Kitechs on there, real soft bait, or it doesn't matter if you're using a Bobby Garland, whatever. You twist them up on there and it holds that bait on there. After several fish, you can get several fish out of the same bait. Otherwise, they slide off and you're messing with your bait too much. But we're just throwing on 6 pound. I like the high vis yellow, the clear works. Just gets you a good quality crappie rod and reel. And man, just look around. You can idle with your electronics and look for brush piles. If you have the live scope, it makes it super simple. You just kind of pan around. And usually what I've been doing here lately is, as we're trolling with the topwater, going down the banks at a fairly fast speed, I'm panning with the live scope at the same time, and I'll see brush piles, finding brush piles, and I'll just mark it on a waypoint, and we'll go on, and later that day we'll come back to them brush piles and catch some crappie up, and I mean, you can catch them right now. We the other day, those guys, we fished for several hours, and then we spent about an hour on one dock, and they went home with 30 big crappie. Let's see, just the other day, 2 days ago, we fished several hours for bass, like I said, just catching anything that would bite. And about the last 45 minutes, we went and caught them. I think it was 18 big crappie, filleted them up, sent them home with some crappie. So if you like crappie fishing and you want to crappie fish and come down and catch crappie, right now it's not going to get any better than it is right now. Either one, Denise or myself, will take you out, catch you some crappie. It's a lot of fun. Everyone's going to catch fish. It's real simple. You stand on the front and just catch the same target and catch some crappie. The bass, we're still doing bass trips. Like I said, I'd say fairly tough right now, but as it cools down, it's going to get good. We're going to have a period here in the next couple weeks. The topwater is going to get extremely good, and it's going to be real good. The spinnerbait's going to get good, and then we're going to slow down and we're going to jig fish. We're going to start slowing way down and just jig fish, stick bait fish. Alabama rig will come into play, but winter time, you can catch them all year down here at the lake. So it's some of the best fishing down here as far as I'm concerned. The lake's peaceful out there. There's not a lot of boats at all. If you want to take a trip, give Denise or I a call, and we'll do everything to set you up a trip around your schedule. We 7 days a week we guide, so if we can help you, we'll help you out. This time of year we've got like this morning, it started out pretty cool. I got my Reaper, my AFCO Reaper on. The thing is the best, probably the best sweatshirts I've ever wore. Hoodie. They've got the built-in face protector. You pull it up, way up over your ears. Of course, I got them ears. The wind kind of bothers them, and I can pull it up, just over my ears when I'm running down the lake. You pull the hood up, cinch it up. It's got good quality pockets. So the Reaper, and then you got of course the AFCO winter gear that is second to none. So and they're selling them pretty much everywhere. You can get on their website. Fifth Fishing has them. I think pretty much everybody, any kind of sporting goods store at all, if they want good quality stuff, they've got the AFCO gear in there. They've got a set of gloves, I don't have them here, that are really good. They're waterproof, they're windproof. I wear them running, and then I switch to another smaller pair once I start fishing. So it's that time of year. You can put several layers on and shed them off throughout the day. Of course, we're going to have some days it ain't going to get above 40 degrees, and them are cool days. But either way, it's worth it. Getting out now, less boat traffic, the fish are biting. It's just a great time to come down and spend time here at Lake of the Ozarks. So we'll keep you up to date throughout the winter as things change. What the fish are relating to, what they're doing. Kind of give you a selection. Today I went through a lot of baits because they're all working. You can go out and have a heyday on any one of these baits any given time. But like I said, in the next few weeks it'll slow down, and the bait selection will be a lot smaller. So either way, if you get a chance, get down to the lake, enjoy everything we have down here at the lake. And like I said, we'll keep you up to date. Until then, be safe, wear your life jackets. We'll talk to you in a few days.